Da Vinci was an illegitimate boy raised by his grandmother in a village south of Florence. And he did not receive formal education. In his time, it was not uncommon for that to happen, because many people were also illiterate. So this man is the icon of the self-made thinker. And he's famous for his paintings, for his drawings, and all sorts of ideas of machines that only centuries later were built. But after he died, people figured out that while he was making drawings, he was writing on the margin of his creations. He was writing all sorts of things. Some of them philosophical, others were descriptive of the mediocrity around him. And those ended up being collected after he passed away into two very famous volumes of notebooks, the notebooks of Da Vinci, which I'm reading religiously, because every time I look at them, I'm just floored. And the other night, not the other night, but the night before I first mentioned him, I came across, there's a chapter called Maxims, Maxims according to his, to the readers of his things. And I collected two of them and tried to recognize here things that your professors taught you. Maxim number 1137. By the way, I'll give you this for you to take home and tell your parents that there is a reason why above the entrance to Hudson, in basso relief, there is the image of Da Vinci. He was wearing a cap because he was bald, and must have been cold sometimes in Europe, because back then it was not the global warming, it was global cooling, as also known as the ice. Sorry, never mind. There were various cold periods on Earth recently, I'm not talking about the Ice Age. So, Maxim 1137, quote, weight, force, and accidental impulse, together with resistance, are the four external powers in which all the visible actions of mortals have their beginning and their end. If that is not mechanics, I don't know what mechanics is. Maxim 1139, which is 2 steps under the first. The motive power is the cause of all life. This is thermodynamics, okay? Because you cannot have movement, which is life, without power, which comes from, I talked about these engines. Colleague of mine, anybody knows Stefano Curtarolo? He teaches materials engineering here, which is, I recommend Stefano Curtarolo. He was brought up very close to Florence. And he told me that this thing I just told you, the motive power is the cause of all life, is incorrect. Da Vinci wrote the cause of every life, because Da Vinci was also a person who wrote in the West the first manual of anatomy. He was talking about animate animals and people. You see that? Not about the rivers and the snowflakes, which is something that we'll be covering in the course hand in glove with the animals and the people. So, and I like the fact that I was corrected, because where I come from, every life is what Da Vinci meant. He actually said, anybody speaks Italian here? I highly recommend this step into the origin of even English. In Italian, il moto, the movement, e causa is the cause of, he said, d'ogni vita. Ogni vita means every life or every animal. All right. I also wrote that this meaning to you, These quotes shed light on the origins and spreading of modern science, which are usually traced to Galilei and Newton. The first was Da Vinci, who spoke with pictures and words, but not with math. Their birth years were separated by 100 years, and I wrote here their years of birth for you to get an idea of who read whose work before he became famous. Get it? Growing up in academia, I discovered the pleasure of discovering the origin of the good things that a few very special people came up with.